our potatoes, peanuts, and maybe a tomato or two in the bags.
Hi, welcome back to the garden. Today is Saturday, May 13th. You know what that means. We're going to do a quick review of this garden, then we're going to go to you and we're going to celebrate what's going on in your garden. But first, I got to take and make a delivery. I don't have to enlarge the garden. Well, I do have to enlarge the garden, but not that much. While I take these tomatoes to their new home, let's take a stroll through this garden. We had a pretty good rainstorm last night, and I just love it out here after it rains.
We take a stroll around the garden this morning after a great rainstorm. It appears that the system is pretty much in balance today. I'm sure we're going to have a hiccup. You know, I started this because I didn't want to have to weed. And as we're walking around, there's virtually no weeds. And I thought folks might be interested. And this morning I find myself thinking about a message from one of our viewers. It went something like this. It's my first year planting in the deep mulch garden. I mulched everything last fall after watching your videos, and the soil is amazing now this year. But planting feels like I'm gardening for the first time. Everything is different in the thick mulch. I just keep telling myself this is how Waylon did it as I fork aside mulch. I would have never had the courage to do this if I hadn't had the visual learning from your channel. On a morning like this morning, that kind of message means a lot to me. I thought folks might be interested in what I learned. This makes it all worth it. I do appreciate the comments and the kind words. And that's why Saturdays are for you and celebrating what's going on in your garden. And I do thank you.
That was great timing, but now that I'm back, I'm going to set up here. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of our friends and neighbors around the world and see what's going on in their gardens.
On this wonderful spring Saturday morning, I'm happy to see that Nora is back after the long winter. She brings such a vibrant display of color, and we expect some inspiring creativity as you plant out your landscape. Welcome back, Nora. Bruce's Tropical Florida Deep Mulch Food Forest is a delightful mix of the exotic and the foods we're accustomed to. As we make this wonderful stroll through his garden, he highlights the most work he'll ever do in a deep mulch garden. And that is, of course, harvesting over and over and over. And thank you, Bruce. This is wonderful. And those carrots are just awesome. Art's first strawberries have come in this morning, and it looks like he did a Waylon with his pepper seeds. Art is relatively new to the deep mulch system, and notice just how much greener the edges of his lawn were. His roses sure do like it also. Looking good, Art. Tom and Kristen are new to this community, and their garden is large and in charge. I met up with Tom last week and gave him a bunch of tomatoes, and they sure do have the room for them. Kristen uses all the available items to create this awesome bucket, bag, raised bed, deep mulch, in-ground, food forest. This is a great example of ingenuity. Thank you for the inspiration and the great ideas, and welcome to this community. We look forward to seeing how this forest fills out.
Weren't those absolutely terrific? Now, if you're new to my channel, you're in for a real treat. Saturdays are reserved for you in celebrating what's going on in your garden, and I invite you to become a member of this community. There's no obligation. You send a few photos of your garden every once in a while, and we get to celebrate it. This is where we get ideas, this is where we get motivation, and this is where we get inspiration. And I guarantee you all the gardeners would love to see what you're doing in your garden. Now, I made a rule. We're going to have to plant something every day we come out to the garden. I gave away a lot of tomatoes this morning. I still have these green tomatoes that Jim thought would be cool. I need to get these up potted and get them in the ground or something. And while I work on this, let's go ahead and take a look at a few more of our friends and neighbors.
Larry and Michelle have a wonderful mix of beauty and food growing in their North Carolina garden. Can't believe you're going to have tomatoes shortly. Everything is growing really well. Larry, your blackberries and raspberries are starting to turn nicely, and you'll be starting your harvest very soon. This is just wonderful, Larry. Keep us posted. Michelle, your flowers are great. Thank you. Denise's containers and raised beds are doing great after having to start over after that tornado. She said there's over 800 flower seeds sprouting along that fence. We can't wait to see it bursting with color and full of butterflies. Thank you, Denise. Keep us posted. Scott's garden is also shaping up nicely. Your blueberries look wonderful. That netting should keep the birds off of them. Your blackberries have started to set fruit. You're going to be picking for a while. Scott also has a gopher in his yard, but that gopher will find these caged containers hard to steal from this year. Great idea, Scott. Thank you. Reese is a new member of this community and wanted to share his container garden with us. Reese said this setup makes weeding effortless. Very nice, Reese. Thank you. Welcome to this community. We look forward to seeing how this grows. Jerry is also a new member, and they were on their way out to plant their tomatoes this morning. The potato bags are growing well on the deck. Please keep us posted on how those tomatoes do, and welcome to our community.
I'm telling you, this is where we get our inspiration. Those are just awesome. Leave a comment down below and let everybody know just how much you appreciate them sharing what's going on in their garden. Hit the like button, and YouTube will push this out to more people that might be interested in learning how to garden. Well, we've got one cell done. Maybe you want to help me get this other cell out. Beautiful thing about these burpee cells, you just push that rubber up and it just pops right on out of there. And the other good thing about tomatoes, they're really forgiving when you separate them. And just like we've done before, just put your two thumbs between whatever you want to separate and try to break it as close to the middle as possible, and just kind of separate those roots. Now, I got different sized plants in here, and we've got different sized containers. So this one was only 5. That other one had like 8. Then you just, when you get down to this point, I got 3 here together. Take that bottom part off. We'll just kind of gently tease these apart. And that's got enough roots, even though it doesn't seem like it has much. Remember, the entire stem will root. And see, that one's coming apart real nice, and it's got some nice little roots. So we'll get these different size containers. For these bigger ones, I've got a little deeper containers. And go ahead and you can pinch these first leaves off, the little sprout leaves off. Set it down in there. Just backfilling around it, snug it down, and we'll give these a good drink of water here in a minute. I might actually have to go to the compost pile and get some more soil. These little bigger ones. Take that bottom one off. Go ahead and get you in here. Thing about uppotting tomatoes, you don't have to be too precise. Like I say, the entire stem will root. These are getting big enough. If I was going to plant these in the garden, I'd probably lay them on their side and let the entire stem root. And these smaller ones here, let's put them in one of these 6-pack cells. And I'm going to start in the middle, and you don't have the sides to contend with. And then when you get to the sides, it's just easier to plant all the way around. Just a trick I learned. Just snug those in. Set that aside and we'll wait for the next batch. While I go ahead and continue this, let's go ahead and take a look at a few more of our friends and neighbors.
Jamie just finished planting in the deep mulch garden where there are so many worms you could go fishing. Jamie's neighbor tills and already has weeds growing. The bags around the outside have giant sunflowers in them. Looking good, Jamie, thank you. Keep us posted. Walter's small deep mulch garden is a great example of maximum use. Trellised cucumbers, trellised tomatoes, caged potatoes. The peppers will go in buckets soon. Walter, this is great. We can't wait to see how this grows out again this year. Thank you. Rob and Valerie had a man down. Looks like the wind took out one of their tall sunflowers, but they've already replanted. Valerie's Texas garden seems well advanced. But you know what? In reality, it's been producing straight through the winter. Rob and Valerie keep seedlings growing so they can replant as they harvest. Valerie has a great system going. Just look at the potato harvest. That's the second or third. I lost count. Rob and Valerie's garden is simply blessed. But the ideas and the inspiration they have given the community and others makes us simply blessed. Thank you again for being such long-time contributors. We look forward to seeing how your garden fills out as the spring progresses.
Weren't those amazing? You can do this too. And we do invite you to become a member of this community. It doesn't matter if you have a single container on your windowsill, a bucket garden, a raised bed garden, a combination of all, a traditional row garden. This is where we gain inspiration. This is where we get ideas. And this is where we get motivation. It truly is. And we do invite you to become part of this. It's a safe place to share what you're doing in your garden, and we'd love to celebrate for you. I got 26 tomatoes of varying sizes out of just these 3 cells, and that's still this giant green. And these seeds did come from Baker Creek. I'm going to keep this last cell for myself. I'll find some place to put them. Now this other cell is the other variety of, and they're still green tomatoes, but if I plant them up right now, I won't have anything to do tomorrow. So I think that's as much damage as we're going to do here in the garden today. Oh, yeah, I did want to, remember these basil? Right here where they split way down here? And this is the split we took off. This is almost as big as the original plant. So I'm about ready to bring them all back over here, take the tops off again, and double my basil again. Either that or get them in the garden. Now if I doubled the basil, I really don't know if I have any place to put them. Next weekend is going to be the traditional Memorial Day weekend, and I'm going to plant sweet potato slips. I don't think I'm going to have enough room to walk out there. Oh well, I could have a lot worse problems. You can do this too. If you want to learn more about the deep mulch, click that link right there and I'll meet you back in the garden. If you want to learn about the living soil, click that link right there and I'll meet you back in the garden. And remember, until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you.
Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.